if you want to be successful in sales or business, number one, you must invest in yourself. It really comes right back to you. So when I was asking myself those questions, all the answers kept pointing back to me, to the individual. Okay, well, it's because of you, or it's because of what you said, or it's because of how you did it, or it's because of how you shook his hand, or their hand, or her hand, or it's because you spoke about the kids and sports, whatever.
Today, we get to speak with Everold Reid. He's the author of The Reid Method, a blueprint for achieving sales mastery, and host of the Reid Method Insider podcast. Not only does he teach sales, he's been practicing it for over 30 years. Now, in 1989, he took a summer job selling cars to earn extra money for college. The job was supposed to be temporary, but Everold realized that he had a gift for selling, and his part time status eventually evolved into a full time career in automotive sales. From his earliest years in the retail car industry, Everold has been a keen student of selling, eager to learn new strategies and techniques to build his knowledge base, and more importantly, to expand his customer base. His sales mastery has led to top sales ranking at the dealerships where he has worked, as well as many awards for his performance. Along the way, Everold adopted the Kaizen philosophy of continuous improvement that remains central to his present-day sales, advertising, and marketing efforts. He's also recently launched an amazing service known as Yachty.com, which is a marketplace for local vendors in Jamaica, his home. Let's learn more about Everold in this episode. Thank you for tuning in to Hacks and Hobbies with your host, Junaid. We're visited by our amazing guests coming from all walks of life. We want to learn their story, their struggles, and their journey on how they got to where they are today. So stick around. Everold, so excited to have you here.
Yeah, like it's been a year and a bit already. So it's finally the honor. I had to work my way up through the other shows to get to yours.
That's a funny way to put it there, my friend. That was certainly not the intention.
Yeah, work up to the best is that what it is? I don't know.
Because, well, the funny thing is, I only recorded maybe 3 episodes this year, because all of the episodes that I've been recording, that I've been publishing for 2021, were recorded during the pandemic. Yeah. I just bulk produced it, but I have been thinking of changing up the format, and I'm like, how do I change up a format that's already working fine? Maybe I just need to market more and leave the format as is. Because what we're creating on the podcast are very evergreen content that brings value back to the listener over and over. No matter what time, what century you listen to this podcast, you will find a very powerful, actionable items.
I like that.
Thank you, man. So, Everold, we've talked so much about so many different things. Tell us a version of story that no one's heard of before.
A version of a story that no one's heard of before. Oh my goodness. I think the story, I mean, I don't know if it's a story, but it's it's eventful. And I haven't talked about this much, probably in public outside of our very exclusive group. And, it's having to deal with tragedy this year for me, which after being married for 28 years, almost 28 years, my wife passed away this summer from cancer. And so that's been a bit of a, a dent in the road, so to speak, along the way. And so I haven't talked much about that, and I'm told I need to talk more about that, or I was at my physician this morning for the first time. Can you believe it? I actually went to a doctor's office because they've been closed for a year and a half.
Uh-huh.
Right. I'm like, do you guys work anymore, or are you just sitting there collecting money? Like I asked him.
Yep, that's what they do.
Yeah. So I said, I'm coming, anyway, so I did that. But yeah, so my a big story or event in my life has been that. And at age 52, I didn't think I'd be dealing with that or having to deal with that at this stage of my life and my kids' life. So that's I think the story that would be most relatable and prevalent.
No, absolutely. So that's that's something else altogether, right? Earlier we were talking with Angel, and he was telling about the loss that his friend has been experiencing over the past year. So many people that they knew. It's almost like when you're at war and you have a platoon, and now you go on a mission and everybody is affected, or didn't make it back, and
Yeah.
you're the only one to make it back, and the pressure, it's almost like PTSD, right? That traumatic disorder,
Yeah.
it just stays with you, and I don't know if it ever goes.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? People who will be in that situation, especially in war, would question why them, why they're the ones that are left behind or
Yeah,
saved or
yeah,
made it through. And I guess when you when you've experienced loss, especially at a close level that I have and many other people have, someone directly in your home or a partner, a brother, sister, an immediate
yeah.
relative, then it apparently, I'm being told you go through stages and it takes time. So, um, first of all, I was told I'm in denial today by my doctor. So
Because you're
he
laughing.
goes, huh?
Because you were laughing, or
Because
because
because he's
you're
kind of a funny guy, right?
okay.
So I will like, he's not like your typical doctor.
Yeah,
Um, and he literally wants to start talking, tell me stories the minute you walk in to visit him, and then you have to kind of remind him of who you are, and then he'll immediately connect because he's got like so many patients, right?
yeah.
But I actually like going to him because going to a doctor that makes you laugh is actually a little bit of therapy in my opinion, right?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, and and he knows about my personal situation, so yeah, so those things. And then he said, well, the fact that you're working so much and you know diving into work nonstop is because you're in denial. So that's my word of the day.
In denial.
In denial, or two words.
Well, sometimes your heart and your mind does need that time, right? Because even though they might be saying that you're in denial, the doctor might be saying you're in denial, and you're keeping yourself busy, your subconscious is still processing all of that,
100%.
right?
A
So,
100%. Because I go through it all the time. So it doesn't
mhm,
matter what I'm doing at any point of the day, wherever I am, whether it be in the car, you know, um, etc., or going to a different room in the house,
yeah,
or doing an activity around the house, or even with the puppy, which was my wife's puppy for the most part. Like everything, there's nothing that doesn't connect something to
yeah,
her. So
yeah,
it's an impossibility.
yeah. So
Yeah.
you're not just in denial, and I guess the reason the in denial part comes out is because you're so inside of it,
Yeah.
right? You're so inside of it that the only thing you want to look is up, because everything around is, well, it's reminding of the loss that you've experienced.
Yeah. Yeah. So and it's just a matter of how one takes losses. And I can't say that I'm an expert in this because this is fresh. This is only 4 months to make any sort of you know intelligent or suggestions for anyone, because it's very fresh for me to be
Yeah,
and recent. So it's a learning process for me, frankly, and that will continue for some time,
yeah.
um, day by day. and then go from there. But I keep busy and I try to smile because, I mean,
Yeah, keep
I
going.
think it's probably what has kept me going. Like everybody
Yeah.
deals with things differently, right? So, you know, I've had to learn quickly how to kind of maneuver through each day
Hmm.
and each night and then get up again and start over. So
Yeah. No, I totally understand. I don't get it, but I understand.
I don't get
You
it
know,
either. So I'm still working on that.
my friend who's local here, he also had a similar loss where his wife passed away, and now he has 4 kids,
Wow.
all under what's that, 15 or 16. I think his oldest daughter is 16, and he's looking to get her married pretty soon here. But it's different, right? It's a different chapter of your life. What you know. But let's go back to the origin story of Everold Reid. Where
Origin story.
the
Wow.
origin story, right? Where did it all start? What is what is the things that are keeping you busy right now, or that you put
Oh my
yourself
Lord.
in that keeps you busy?
Well, I'm not sure if the origin has to do with anything that's keeping me busy now, but but the origin is, Jamaican born. I'll quickly run through that. Did high school in Jamaica, but have been living in Canada for decades now. I think about 3.5 decades
Wow.
I've been in Canada. So, I've traveled and worked across the U.S. and Canada, and many other places, and built up and worked in the automotive space, notably for over a couple of decades,
Hmm.
and the rest of my career in sales and marketing across North America. So I've had the pleasure or the opportunity, I guess, to have learned the sales and success. Learn what it takes to be a successful in sales and business, and or a successful individual um, in whatever you choose to do, and not just doing so in one market, because most people have a career path and it's usually in one city, one state, one town. They never leave,
Hmm.
or rarely get to make a second big leap. But I think for me, part of my journey and story has been the opportunity to have been well traveled and learn bits and pieces from different market areas in different countries, and really hone that in as to see what drives individuals to make them successful and how that transforms to make organizations successful.
Yeah.
And that's evolved for me into creating courses. Actually, some of the books are on the back here.
Nice.
3 or 4 of the courses that I've created. One on sales mindset principle, which I believe is fundamental to anyone's success in sales and business. You have to have the right mindset, and talks about what the principles are
Hmm.
that sets you up for success. I've also created an automotive specific leasing course. So that's another specific online course about to be launched anytime. And
Very cool.
I've, I've written the book, the Reid Method. And now and since we started on our little journey, I think I started Yadi after this, after
Yeah.
our
After
um
we started meeting.
after we started meeting. So it's been over a year, because Yadi will become a year old. Our first anniversary is in about 3 weeks. It's on November 7th we launched.
Wow.
So this little startup that could is is about to celebrate its first birthday.
See,
So
there's so amazing things that have been going on, and you're saying the origin story has nothing to do with what you're working on.
I don't know.
But there is. That's a big lie, because
Yeah.
Yachty comes from, where does it come from? Tell
From
us.
Yad, from Jamaica.
From Jamaica. Where do you come from?
I'm from Yad too.
You're from Jamaica.
From Jamaica.
There's a connection.
So yeah, this whole Yachty phenomena is based on it was pandemic driven, it was,
Mm-hmm.
COVID driven, as that affected all Caribbean islands and everywhere in the world, as you can see. But them specifically, with no travel, no tourism, no cruise ships, no, flights, no hotels. And as the number one industry for many Caribbean islands to not have that industry,
Yeah.
or any of it, not even like you had a portion of it, but there's zero. Okay. For a year and a half, I try to find a way to bring their products the other way instead of them waiting for tourists and buyers to come to them. So Yachty was founded on the principle of showcasing and selling inspiration and the vibes of folk, of Jamaicans, and their great talents and their products across the world. And thankfully, so far we have been doing so in three countries: UK, Canada, the United States, and here we go.
Yeah, man. Basically, half of the world is seeing the products.
Yeah,
Got it.
yeah. And every day I look and I see the analytics. There's people from countries that I don't even recognize are checking out the site.
Yeah.
So it's quite something that if you put something out there, you never know what might show up.
Yeah, because, something that is beautiful around all of that is you come from Jamaica. People from Jamaica are in all parts of all parts of the world.
Yes.
So when they hear something about being able to getting access to products from their own country, there's a strong bond in that. There's a strong connection in that. So
Yeah.
when you hear when you look at the analytics and you can't even pronounce the name of these countries, well, guess what? People from Jamaica are living in those countries.
Well, there certainly are, right? They're everywhere. But the thing that we're also learning, and that we are going to strongly pivot to a bit, is it's not just the diaspora that has an interest in these products.
Mm-hmm.
Frankly, there's a greater amount of tourists and the curious and Caribbean lovers. I mean, Jamaica is the most prominent island, known island in the world.
Yeah.
From Bob Marley, from music, from culture, from food, people. Like there's so much track
Yeah.
and field. I mean, like there's so
It's
much
amazing.
dominance,
Yeah.
um, and it's worldwide. So it's not just we have a huge untapped market, not just with the diaspora, but with the tourists and people who, whether they love Jamaican music or have Jamaican friends or neighbors or just have been there once and can't
Yeah.
get enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of those people that we are discovering right now, and that are showing up in this space. I mean, I look at the orders, and you look at people who are ordering Blue Mountain coffee.
Mm-hmm.
They're from Montana.
Yeah.
They're from different parts of the United States and Canada, and that represents people who may have been to Jamaica who appreciate a high quality type of product
Yes.
that is uniquely Jamaican, but can't get it locally, and they order through Yachty.
It's really beautiful what you've put together, enabling that export capability for the vendors, for the small guy that didn't even in 100 years imagine this would be possible.
Yeah.
Right. So it's ton of credit goes to you because you had the idea, you put it in practice, and now it's just beautiful what's happening.
Yeah, and the core purpose of Yachty is to, when I thought about the company, and it wasn't the company I was about to launch. I was about to launch another company in Jamaica, and had even raised capital to launch that company. And then COVID hit,
Mm-hmm.
and I literally put one yellow folder down because I had like three companies that I had thought about, three concepts. Yachty was the second one, and I
Second one.
was going to go with another one first. And so that one I put aside, and then I put Yachty to the front. And I'm glad I did, because
Yeah.
so much was learned, and so it was so necessary to have launched that company. Um, but the core purpose is, you know, Yachty as a company is purpose driven. The philosophy is people driven, to understand, having born there and grew up there as a child, and understanding what the landscape is like, and what the opportunity may or may not be like for some people, is envisioning that one person that's deep in the country or in the hills,
Hmm.
that does not even have a good camera or a good cell phone to take, but they have a great product. How
Yeah.
do you discover that person? Give them the a little bit of access, or give them the light, bring their products to, to light, and tell their story. And we're big on their story,
Yeah.
because that is where the inspiration lies for Yachty.
No, man, I'm just blown away by the level of passion, the level of support, and encouragement that you've shown to these to the people, to these vendors,
Yeah.
and it's just amazing what you're putting together. So hats off to you, man.
Well, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And I know you're doing some great things as well. So
Thank you. So Errol, share some of your expertise, and I know you've been in the sales. You've written the Reid Method.
yeah.
There's a ton of material there. Share it with us, some of the expertise from the book, so we can share with the audience how they can be a better salesperson, be a better human being, be a better connector. Because I think all of those things combined is what enable you to become who you are.
Yeah. I think what I learned over I traveled extensively for 8 years. So having worked in the automotive space initially for about 15 years, then I left that space. I had sold thousands of cars, managed dealerships, managed even startup dealerships, even had my own used car dealership. So, I've touched a lot of levels in the automotive space, and at a senior level as well.
Yeah.
And then stepping away to do real estate marketing across North America. What I kept asking myself a question, when you land in a strange place like Los Alamos, New Mexico, and those of you who've never been to Los Alamos, New Mexico, folks, you need to, if you just look it up, you'll see why it's kind of unique.
Mm,
Um, or Edmonton, Alberta, or some little town, whether it's be in Canada, whether it be in the United States, whether it be parts of the Caribbean,
yeah.
and you land in these places and you meet someone who you'll maybe only see once. Okay. I was always intrigued by this. I'm coming from another country, have an appointment with them to sell them advertising. Like, who the hell wants advertising? People hate paying for advertising, and let alone to a stranger from another country.
Yeah.
And I would always ask myself the question, why did he buy? Like, why did he buy? Right? When he made, I'd make the sale and get thousands of dollars in sales per day and per week. I'm like, why are they actually buying? What made him say yes? So by asking myself that question, I started processing what the answer actually was. And it all came down to who, right? The person, people, connections, legitimate and authentic connections, and offering value. Um, you know, what does it mean to offer value? That's all explained in the book. But authenticity, value, genuine connections, and providing a connection with the products or the services that you're offering as to how it could benefit them. So, excuse me, there's that. But so I took all of that, and put in the book. And I'm like, okay, so what this means is, if you want to be successful in sales or business, number one, you must invest in yourself. It really comes right back to you. So when I was asking myself those questions, all the answers kept pointing back to me, to the
Yeah.
individual. Okay, well, it's because of you, or it's because of what you said, or it's because of how you did it, or it's because of how you shook his hand, or their
Yeah.
hand, or her hand, or it's because you spoke about the kids and sports, whatever. Okay. So those are the things that would come back is so I'm like, okay, so if it really has to do with me and my efforts and my methods or my philosophy, hence the Reid method, is how can I become a better version of myself?
Yeah.
And to become a better version of yourself, the cornerstone, your cornerstone has to be personal development. So I took on at age 35, so much later in life, you know, the concept of personal development and what I could do to be better, the best salesperson, the best manager, the best, in my field, etc. And that's what happened.
So what I'm hearing is that just be yourself, invest in yourself to be a better version of yourself,
Yes,
to
too many
attract.
people. You're absolutely right, because what happens, like, it's nothing's going to get handed to you, right?
Hmm.
So you have options. You take COVID, for example. You can either say, well, I have no job, place is closed, I'm just going to stay home and collect whatever money the government sending you, and that's all right with you. Okay. Or you could be in that same position, but while you're at home, you say, you know what is this telling me? Is this an opportunity to have done something? Like, for example, one of the things I did in COVID was signed up for an online Harvard course. Okay. Like, I didn't even think I would pass the thing.
Yeah.
Right. But I ended up getting that. And it was on entrepreneurship in emerging economies. Jamaica is an emerging economy,
Yes, it is.
entrepreneurship, right? So when I saw, when the concept of what I had already envisioned literally came to light in this course, I'm like, there's no way I'm not starting this company, right? So you never know. So that was
Yeah.
me investing in myself again, doing an online Harvard course. Number one, to say that I did a Harvard course,
Yes, of course.
right? Because I
My-
won't be getting there any other way, right? And I'm like, damn, there's the idea from a Harvard professor,
yep.
right? I'm like, oh, there's my answer, right? So discipline, investing in yourself. So what does that mean? You could be, we talked earlier this morning about reading books. So I consume books on Audible. So I've consumed 43 books. I've listened to them 3-4 times each. So that's the equivalent of 120. But that's just how I study, right?
Hmm.
I'll just listen to them over and over. No different than people would listen to songs. The more times you hear a song, eventually you know all the words to the song,
Yeah.
right?
Unless you're me, then you'll never know the words of the song.
Well, so that's so it's you. It's invested. Okay, so do you want to do some courses? And see, nobody has an excuse anymore that they can't,
Oh my God.
right?
You're
Because
so
the
right.
information that you need is either available for free on YouTube or on Google or somewhere in an accredited space on the
Yeah.
internet.
Yes.
Okay, so it's hard not to be able to have some level of success.
No, you're 100% right. The opportunities are limitless in the world that we're living in. YouTube has every single thing that you can imagine in every language, might I say that, because
Oh,
before I thought that, there would be woodworking videos only in English and I'd watch them, and today I discovered a video in French with over 1 million views that was posted just a few months ago,
yeah,
because people are hungry for knowledge, right? They're hungry to find what they can do that's gonna help them become a better version of themselves. Now,
yes,
some people might not have that mindset and those are the ones that are complaining all the time. But then there's a ton of the other kind that are always looking to help others and help themselves
yeah.
and figure out how to get to that next level. So thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
And
And that
also,
comes down to a lot about time management, right? Because
yes,
we all had a choice what we did during COVID, right? You can sit around and eat a lot and watch a lot of movies, and I don't know how much of that you can do for 2 years. But I know you and I, we did some cycling, so that
hmm,
was, you know, to keep our bodies somewhat in check,
yeah,
right? And so that's important. And we learned a little bit. We started companies. So it really comes down to the choices that we make,
yeah,
right? And you have no one to blame but yourself. You just got to look in the mirror
yes,
and have I made the best use of my time in this last couple of years? What could I have done better? Have I missed an opportunity? It's never too late, but I think if people haven't learned enough right now about tomorrow is not guaranteed. I mean, I've
no, it's
seen that
not.
now firsthand, having gone through the recent loss of my wife. But um, there's just so much opportunity out there, and the world needs people to step up. The world needs you and your ideas
They do,
and your
yes.
creativity and your products and your expertise. So don't be afraid to go out there and put it up.
That's right. Go out there and make your mark because people are waiting to listen from you.
Absolutely.
And they are keenly watching what you're doing because social media, and I think that's one of the reasons people don't want to post on social media because they're like somebody's watching. Well, they're watching because they want to cheer you on. They want
Yeah.
to cheer you on. I've been posting a ton of content on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram, and I found out that a lot of my family is hanging out on Instagram. So they're sending me messages like, "Whoa, you have the honey bottles now. Where's my copy? Where's my bottle?" Right? So they're commenting, but it's all a matter of share your life the way you see it, and you will find others that
Yeah, in that space for sure.
in that space that are gonna resonate with that. Man, Errol, it's been a beautiful conversation.
Wow.
But before we go,
Okay.
I do have some quick questions
Yes.
that we ask all of our guests
Is
on the
this the quick,
podcast.
what do you call it? The round table, or what do you call it? Round, I forget the name.
I forget. I haven't named it yet either.
Yeah.
The quick round or something.
Yeah.
We'll come up with a name for it. Audience, we'd love for you to give us a name for this next set of questions that I usually ask. So, Everett, what is the one hobby that you wish you got into?
Flying.
You said fine?
Flying. Flying
Flying.
airplanes.
Yes. And you have flown a little bit,
Yeah.
right?
I have
Tell
on
us a little
my
bit about it.
bookshelf here my trophy for my first solo flight, February 21st, 1991 or 92.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how
I've
long I've been studying airplanes. So flying, without a doubt.
That's amazing because I remember when I was 10 years old or something, I wanted to be a pilot. I wanted to fly planes. Now, I haven't made it a reality, but I have played a ton of flight simulator games and dogfighting and whatnot. I think
Oh,
I
really?
remember the first one was Red Baron, where you're flying this prop plane in World War One. But that's
Well,
fascinating.
you'd be a better pilot in that space than me because I've never flown on on a game.
I am waiting on my flight motion simulator. It's a campaign I backed on Kickstarter called Field 3. It's got 360-degree movement and
Nice.
150. So basically, you're sitting in a seat with virtual reality goggles on, with a flight stick and a rudder and everything, and you're basically flying an airplane. And as you're moving, your entire chair is moving back and forth. So I can't wait for that to come. It's already
Nice.
a reality.
Yeah. Nice.
We're all waiting patiently for Or
Well, I'm looking to get back into the seat this fall.
sweet, I love it.
Yeah.
Next question. What did you want to be when you were a child?
Oh, yeah, I think I already gave that up. I
You
wanted
did,
to
right?
be a pilot
You want
first.
to be a pilot? All right,
Yeah.
sweet. What is your favorite book, movie, or TV show?
Um, I mean, the favorite book other than mine.
Yes.
um, well, I think by default the favorite book is the Bible.
Hmm.
Um, then some of the ones I've read. I like As a Man Thinketh. It's a very short book, but I want the one quote that I take away from it, which I practice and I teach, is
Yeah.
also men are anxious to improve their circumstances, but are unwilling to improve themselves. They therefore remain bound.
Yeah.
Right. So if you want to improve your life and your circumstances and have all the stuff, but you're unwilling to do the work, you're gonna pretty much stay where you're at.
Wow, man, that hits close to heart.
Yeah. So I listen to that all the time, and it's the one phrase that I've out of a few books that I've taken very deeply
Nice.
about one's abilities. Men are anxious to improve their circumstances, but are unwilling to improve themselves. So you don't go anywhere if you don't
That's deep.
improve yourself
That is
first.
deep, my friend.
Yeah.
All right. How about what movie would you choose if you got to
Gladiator.
play a character in it? You would be Gladiator?
Well, if I had to well, I like Gladiator, but if I had to, the TV show that I really got used to, that
Uh-huh.
this is the first time I actually watched through the COVID times. I
Yeah.
actually got hooked on Scandal,
Okay,
that
Scandal.
that Netflix show, and that was because of Kerry Washington, obviously.
Absolutely.
I'm like, this show is damn good.
Yeah.
So if I were to play an actor, I'd probably want to be. I think the president's name is Tony Goodwin or something.
Uh-huh.
Goldwyn.
Goldwyn.
Yeah. So Gladiator for a movie, I really respect how I forget the actor's name. How can I forget his name?
Russell
But
Crowe.
Russell Crowe played that character. I really like
Yeah.
that movie.
Russell Crowe has been on a very interesting journey because I think his latest movie was very disturbing. I don't know if I can't remember the name for it, but it was very disturbing for sure.
I haven't seen or heard about it.
All right, cool.
Shows you how much I watch TV.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
just
why you
waiting.
went directly to the books when I asked you about movies and TV shows.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna see the Bond movie though because I'm a
Oh
Bond
yeah,
fan.
I've got to
So
see the
that's
Bond.
once every 5 years.
Oh
A
yes,
little movie.
absolutely. to take time out to make a movie with Daniel Craig, and I think this might be his last movie.
Yeah. So I'm hearing.
So we'll see who'd be the next one.
Yeah.
Who is your favorite superhero?
Jeez. The one that comes to mind because I don't know if it was the theme song that got me, but it was Robin Hood.
Hmm.
I think it was called Rocket Robin Hood.
Rocket Robin Hood.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look him up
Yeah.
because that's something I haven't heard of. All right,
Yeah.
last question.
That's probably because I'm older than you.
Only by like 6 years. Not much. Plus, I think it also depends on which country we grew up in. You grew up in Jamaica. I grew up in Saudi Arabia. We didn't really have a lot of TV. All right, last question. If you were a board game, what would it be?
Oh, jeez. If I were a board game, probably Monopoly, so I can get rid of
I guessed you as a Monopoly as well.
Yeah.
All right, man. Where can the audience find you?
Um, so the audience can find me at the reidmethod.com. That's my consulting firm, reidmethod.com, and stuff about the book. My online courses are there. And then at and then at yadi.com, YAAHDY.com. That's for the e-commerce platform, for the e-commerce company. All the
Yeah, so
Caribbean food
yadi.com
lovers
is a
and
place which came out of the mind of Everold Reid, and it became a reality thanks to the Harvard course, right? So all of
yes,
these things stack up together. Like, I would not have started a podcast unless I had a little bit of experience from 2012,
yeah,
unless I had people teasing me about my hobbies, unless I had gotten into beekeeping and helping somebody else launch a podcast, and then finally getting the permission from Gary Vaynerchuk in his book, just go out and document the journey. So it's those little things over the times that percolate and come up top and are like, whoa, how did I get here? So it's
yeah.
really powerful when we pay attention to all the things that are happening around us. So thank you so much, Everold, for sharing your journey, sharing your heart, sharing your wisdom with the audience today. And
Yes.
we wish you very well.
Yes, thank you, sir. It was a pleasure. And I'll leave one little last tidbit. Ignore all the naysayers. Don't let anyone steal your thunder and your excitement and your magic from what you are set out to do. Okay, not even family members. If you're passionate about doing something, and you know that in deep down, at least you'll have regrets if you don't do it. There you go.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Everold.
All right, man.
Appreciate you every single day, man. And thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Well, thank you, sir. Pleasure being here.
Bye.
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode on Hacks and Hobbies. We absolutely appreciate your contribution. You can find additional notes on hacksandhobbies.com. Please share the podcast with your friends and tell them what you learned about our guest today.